Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for April 29, 2023, the What is Failure edition. We begin with that story from the world of sports. Typically, we don't have too many sports stories on the Daily Compliance News, but after the Miami Heat pulled off a miraculous upset of the NBA's regular season best team, there was a press conference by the Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo on the topic of failure. And he was asked if he considered the Bucks season a failure. And his answer has gone viral. So he said, do you get a promotion every year in your job? No. Right. So every year is your work a failure? Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, which is to be promoted, to take care of your family, provide a house, take care of your parents. You work towards that goal. It's not failure. It's a step to success. There's always steps to it. Michael Jordan played 15 years and won 6 championships, whereas other 9 years of failure. It's certainly something to think about, particularly in light of the stunning defeat by the Milwaukee Bucks. Next up, also from the Wall Street Journal, as I noted in an earlier podcast series, in China, detention and espionage law have become a business worry. Executives worry that meetings and information exchanges will be curtailed, and frankly, that they'll be arrested in a snit from the Chinese government, whether it's a tit for tat or not. So businesses need to assess these risks and be ready that their corporate representatives may be arrested literally for no reason by the Chinese government. Next up from Reuters, in a very interesting article, they ask, will DeSantis's, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis's strong words against Disney, both in verbal and in print, come back to haunt him? He has laid out a series of political reasons for his attacks on Disney. And now, in the court of law, these are going to look like impermissible legislative or other reasons. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. And our final story comes to us from the Financial Times. If you haven't been watching the news, Iran seized a U.S. Oil tanker in the Persian Gulf, and now the U.S. authorities have ordered the tanker of an Iranian crude to be redirected towards the U.S. in a move officials believe was a tit-for-tat for Iran's decision. So transportation of oil in and out of the Straits of Hormuz is certainly going to become more dicey, with Iran upping the risks for companies, and hopefully cooler heads will prevail in this standoff with Iran. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.